Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on deck. Yes, again, second act is in motion. That's all we do is stay in motion. The purpose of this podcast is simple. We have 2.2 million people in jail in this country. And they need advice on relationships. They need advice on prosperity. They need advice on decision making, how to let go. I'm saying how to deal with trauma. And just to know that like success is possible. Yeah. I spent 14 years in prison. And I was stuck in a mindset. And I had to get rid of my old mindset before I can get my new life. And my first relationship I need to really understand was a relationship I had with myself.
Yeah.
Which goes back to the relationship I had with the people who helped raise me.
Yeah.
In that whole space. So I'm out here, I'm doing well, we're giving, we're building, we're sharing, and that's what this is, man. So we got folks inside who gonna hear you right now in real time.
Yeah, that's good.
They need to know who you are, where you came from. And then we want to get to the lessons you're going to share them with.
Yeah.
So what's your journey?
Listen, man, you talking to Jamel Jackson, the relationship mechanic. I focus on repairing, evaluating, and giving you the tools you need to maintain healthy relationships. I'm a music artist, philanthropist, entrepreneur, but that wasn't always the case.
Hold on. You said music artist.
Music artist.
What kind of music?
I do hip-hop. I write.
You write?
I got bars.
You got bars?
I got bars.
Okay, hold on. You got clean bars?
I got clean bars.
Let's hear some. Hit it.
I gets deep as a soil in Sudan. The black Edgar Poe flow. Recognize hip-hop is dying slow. The ghetto breeds the best MCs are left in the cold to freeze on the project stairs spitting degrees. I wasn't meant to be commercialized. Realize Nehemiah relies on the realest survives. For those guys in pinstripes sending kites to their kids. For the women in prison cells having babies in jail. Birth behind bars, one couldn't imagine the hell. Unless my feet fell in your shoes for a second to tell. Uno nieve ocho zero child. I popped out the womb like blow. Doc held me in his hands like wow.
That's it?
That's it. You want more? I mean, I got more. We can keep it going.
Okay. Hold on. You gonna keep it going.
We can keep it going.
24 years you've been locked in a box, and then you ask Father God for what you have got. But bit after bit, you did the same old. I think it's about time that you realize this. You're getting old. Living in the penitentiary, you should have listened to me. It was just elementary, but no. You didn't want to listen. Now your bed's 2 feet from the place that you're pissing. How that sound? A little unrational? Well, let me tell you something. The problem now nationally wide is no joke. The numbers are outrageous every day across this country. These people try to cage us just like before. Way back in the days, they used to put us in chains and just call us slaves. Well, now I'm in jail and called a convict. If you apply the old label, I think it still fits.
Ooh, I see you. I didn't know we had bars in the room.
The journey.
The journey, man. It wasn't always, the relationship mechanic. It was the guy growing up in Hempstead, Long Island, on a street called Terrace Avenue. They call it Terror Avenue. I lived on the corner with my dad down a dead end called, this street was called Bedell. And literally every day, like literally, if you could ask anybody, call them on the phone right now, every day somebody died on that corner. And so the next morning, the typical thing, the ribbons is tied on there, the flowers is on the telephone pole, you pouring out the Hennessy, you lighting up the weed, you saying rest in peace. This is the environment, this is the place that we growing up in, My mom, single, It's a story that I'm telling right now, typical kind of like destitute environment, child growing up type of story. Dad locked in prison, 10 years, came home. I'm already older, a teenager by then. I done pumped drugs, got locked up, got out. My brother was more so a live wire more than me. You know what I mean? I was the one that wanted to think the plan out. He was just like,
let's go.
You said it, I'm doing it. You said it, I'm popping off. I'm doing what we're going to do, whatever we got to do. I was like, we got to think this out. So let me just even fast forward. So out of that type of lifestyle, went from New York to, my mom moved to Ohio. I decided to go with her to Ohio. Got introduced to some dudes that was really banging out there. You know what I mean? Because in New York, I saw it, but it was like when I went there, I saw like
going hard and
some
go hard
and Bloods, like really getting it in. I met this dude from Cleveland. I started running with him. He was a Crip. I wasn't a Crip. I was just running with him because he was like, I'll hold you down, New York. I was like, bet. I need you to hold me down because it's crazy out here. You know what I mean? And they would like literally be sitting on the porches, weapons drawn, just chilling, ready. And I was like, it was crazy to me. And the thing is, they used to let me kind of like pass by because my music. By a music artist name, I go by Nehemiah the Redeemer. So when they used to hear my lyrics, they'd be like, yo, just just come hang out with us, kick some lyrics. And that was like the thing that kept them at bay, kept them at peace, and kind of kept them from wilding out sometimes. They'd be like, yo, Nehemiah, just bust some flows for us, man. We don't want to do nothing. And I ended up speaking into their lives. But at the same time, I was thinking, man, who going to speak into my life? Like, God, I'm out here like...
I'm out here with the savages.
So my dependency became on God, like leaning on him. Like I would literally be sitting with them and then go around the corner. And I'm telling you, like I have my Hennessy, my little fifth of Henny, go around the corner and I drink it and slide down the wall and be like, God, help me. Because these dudes is looking for direction. I only could keep them on idle for so long.
You hang with hyenas. Hanging with hyenas ain't easy.
So even fast forward that, one of the things that shifted my paradigm and everything was I was on the block on Terrace Ave one time because I was going from Ohio to Terrace, Ohio to New York. And one day I was in New York, and a lot of my friends was passing, you know what I mean, and going to jail, you know what I mean. And I was standing there one day, and I was like, yo, I guarantee I'm next. It's only a matter of time.
If they're gone, yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And so I was actually in Ohio, and then this is what like shifted everything. Like my younger brother, he's a year younger than me. Then I had another brother, Terrence Jackson, rest in peace. He was 18 when he was murdered. He was in Ohio with my other brother. And they have a law in Ohio that if two people go to commit any type of crime and one person gets killed, because they were having so many murders, they couldn't find the murderers.
They're charging the person with you.
They charging the person with you. So the person, they went to do something at somebody's home. It
went bad.
And then it went bad. My younger brother, my youngest brother got shot. And my other brother, he got away. But the police got him and charged him with his murder.
For conspiracy.
Yeah, so they charged him with manslaughter. Now, prior to that, my brother that's a year younger, he had just came home from doing 5 years. And he was only home for like a couple months. And I remember seeing both of them, and I'm looking in their eyes and my youngest brother, I'm like, yo, what y'all doing, man? And my brother like, nah, we good, man. And I know the eye, I'm like, yo, don't lie to me. Like, you act like I've never been out there. I could see in their eyes something's up. And then literally a couple months later, that happens. So my brother that's a year younger than me, he gets a mandatory 10 for manslaughter. And obviously my other younger brother, he's gone. So when that took place, I was like, yo, that hit me like a ton of bricks. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's it. It was like my music shifted and my life shifted. I wasn't like completely out of the streets, but all like that carrying a weapon and dealing drugs, I was like, I'm done. You know what I mean? I told my boys, I was in New York when I was just thinking about this, standing on the corner. I literally walked down the block, got on a Greyhound. I was like, I'm going. And they was like, you for real? I'm going. And I went back to Ohio, and I just started like, you know what I mean?
When you go back to Ohio, the hyenas is still on the porch.
Yeah, they still out there, but I'm not hanging out with them.
Like, you know what I mean?
I had this, and then I had this paradigm shift. It was like one day, because I used to always walk through this park in Ohio, and I tell this story in my book. I used to walk through this park in Ohio, and every night, this was like my meditation night. So I sit there, I had my little Henny, and I sit there with my cup, and I pour it, and I just be sitting there thinking like, man, God, what am I gonna do with my life? Like, and then one day I was in the park, and it was like this love came to my heart, this overwhelming feeling. And it wasn't like the love of like your mom telling you love you, or a girl telling you love you. I was like, man, I feel like it was like this overwhelming amount of love. And I was like, yo, it ain't this Henny. I know it ain't this, man. Because I didn't came to this.
Did you have the XO?
Nah, I ain't had the XO. I couldn't afford that right at that moment, though.
Okay, just ask.
So we sitting there. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, I was like, I wonder if this is that love my mom be talking about with like that God type of love. This is because I'm a thinker, so I'm sitting there like, I put the Henny down, literally. I left it right there. I just started walking to the crib. I got to my mom's crib. I'm like, Mom, I got this feeling in my heart. Like, I just feel like this love. She was like, it could be God love. You know what I mean, Jamel? Like, and then she did a little prayer for me. I went upstairs in my room. I ain't think nothing of it. But after that, in the morning, I was like, you know what? If all these dudes out here saying they love me like that, even the girls, if you don't love God, it's impossible for you to love me. Genuinely. I ain't saying you got to be perfect.
Right.
But if you can't love the person that created everything, how you going to love me? So that became my questionnaire, my defining thing for people. So I went to dudes when I was hanging out with them. It wasn't about them smoking and drinking, still doing what they're doing. I just wanted to know. I was like, yo, how you feel about God? You know what I mean? And I could tell, like, they'd be like, oh, man, come on, here you go with that. Nobody want to hear that. I'm like, okay.
I'm out.
I see you, but we ain't going to be rocking like that. Because there's no way you could truly say you love me and give me dap at the end of the night. So, yo, I hold you down. There's no way.
What is misery loves company?
And so I just started separating myself from people
Who
like
didn't
that,
love God.
who didn't love him. You know what I mean? And it wasn't about them being a certain
Nah,
type of
it's my
way.
thing.
Because
You can
if I
smoke.
saw him, I still be like, yo, what's up? I didn't care if you was drinking, doing none of that. But my thing is, if you couldn't, if you didn't have that true love, like there's no way you could truly love me. There's no way. And I wanted true love. I wanted real love, authentic love.
You were tired of fake love.
Yeah, and the ones that started adopting that and saying, yo, I feel you, man. They be smoking. Yo, I feel you. God is everything, man. Like, but this is where we at. I was like, it's my dog right there.
We can hang out.
And they would really, truly love me. Mom going to the hospital, they coming with me to the hospital. Something happening with the family, they coming, they showing up.
Listening to you and just hearing what you're sharing, sounds I'm 53. Mm-hmm. You sound like you should be like 58. Like you've lived the life of a 58-year-old man already. But I'm looking at you, you don't look 58.
No, I'm 40.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like you live like 3 lifetimes already. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you look back at what you've been through, what advice would you give the younger version of yourself?
I would let them know, like, yo, there's something about you. Because I was thinking about that before we came in here. And there's a message. I always like to tie, like, I read, like, biblical stories, you know what I mean? Not for anybody, even if they don't believe or they don't get into it. But these stories help me bring practical examples to reality.
Gotcha.
And
Share
I would say there's something about you, because there was a story. Go down this lane. There was a story where God had instructed Samuel. He said, I want you to go anoint David to be the king, one of Jesse's sons. He says there's one of Jesse's sons. You're gonna anoint him as king. You'll know when you get there. Right. So he shows up. You know what I mean? And Jesse brings out his son, and Samuel sees one of them and says, oh, this is the one. So he goes to anoint him, and God like, that ain't the one. And then God spoke to him and said, man looks at the outer appearance, I look at the inward. And so he says, that's not the one. And he asked Jesse, you got any more sons? He said, yeah, I got one. It's just David, the young dude. He out there in the back with the sheep and the goats. And Samuel said, go get him. We're going to wait until he show up. So he shows up, fast forward, and Samuel looks at him, and God says, that's the one, anoint him. But you think about it, he didn't look like a king. He wasn't in the persona of a king. All the rest of the sons had fasted, they prayed, they got their physique up. You know what I'm saying? But it was something about David. And as I was meditating back on that before I came in here, that's what I would tell my younger self, like, yo, there's something about you. Even though you don't look the part, you don't feel the part, you're not emotionally feeling the part, mentally feeling the part, I would say there's something about you, and hold on to that and really believe it, because David didn't look the part. But he had to believe that there was something about him. And here's the thing, Samuel said this, even when you believe there's something about you, you could show up in a room and you might not fit the resume. You might not have all the credentials. I remember times where I had the felony on my resume, and I was like, dang, I'm already X'd out. But if I had this mentality now to tell the young Jamel there's something about you, I'll still show up, because in that moment with David and David and Samuel, even if you don't fit the persona, God said, no, there's something about you, to the point there's people waiting on you. Everybody else may have the credentials, but they like, nah, this ain't the person. This ain't the person. This ain't the person.
He the one.
And then Andre shows up with all the convictions, with all of whatever the background is, and they say, you the one. Because God spoke to somebody's heart about you. There's something about you.
So have you figured out what that thing about you is?
Yes.
Sure.
I'm a fire iron. I was asking him last year, like, God, what's that one thing that I do innately that's I could just do it like the back of my hand and just easily do it? And he gave me an image. He deals with me with images. And I had this image of a fire iron. It's like that small metal rod that sits next to the fireplace, and you kind of stoke the flames in when they getting low. And he always, like once I said, he connects biblical examples to me. And Paul was telling Timothy, he said, look, I need you to stir up the flames. I need you to fan the flames, stir up your gift. And so as I'm reading that and connecting this image, he's like, Jamel, that's what you have the ability to do easily. I could talk to somebody for 14 to 45 minutes, and like a fire iron, I will stir that gift up in you, and that thing will begin to rise, and you'll see exactly why you here. Now, after that, I got people, resources that I connect you to, but that I'm the fire iron. I'm not all this other stuff. The fire iron, relationship mechanic, I will get you right. I will stir those gifts up, and you're going to know, oh, this is what I'm here for.
So I need the fire iron to talk to the people on the other end of this podcast and stir them up.
Listen, man, for those that are listening, I want you to know that there's something about you. I don't know where you're sitting at. You could be sitting in a cell. You could be sitting in a car. But if you are in your cell, or if you are, look, I got dudes that's in there right now. I got dudes that just came home. I got dudes that's in and out of there that I'm still talking to just like this. And I tell them this same thing. I got a guy that I'm on the phone with probably maybe like twice, maybe 3 times a month. And I'm always saying, yo, there's something about you. You gotta get that thing anchored down in you. I don't care if you gotta do not a vision board, but I call it a confession board. Take a piece of paper or whatever you got and you write this down. I am successful. I am free in my mind. There is something about me that whatever you've done is not gonna hold you back. There's something about you. I had to tell myself. I still tell myself that I gotta look in the mirror. Even here's the thing, because I don't look like a king. David didn't look like a king. You know what I'm saying? When life is going hellish and I'm in a position, I gotta look in the mirror and say, there's something about you. There's times when I'm crying, look in the mirror like, yo, God, you saying these grand things about me. You calling me mighty and powerful. I don't feel like that. But I gotta look in the mirror. There's something about you.
You're out here. You're doing it. Because I know, I tell the truth. Like when I watch movies, I get overwhelmed all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I have to watch movies alone because I don't like crying in public.
Yeah.
They're like, Drake cry? I'm like, yeah, because for me, yours is what you're saying is different. So I'm not giving mine to you. Mine's is unresolved trauma is looking to be activated.
Oh, I got something for that.
So I have unresolved trauma.
Uh-huh.
When I see movies of underdogs, of people who are not supposed to make it and they're on the cusp of making it, and they're like, let them play from like Bad News Bears, or the father shows up in the end and he embraces his son, or Antoine Fisher.
Yeah.
Man, listen, when they opened that door and his whole family was there and they got to eat, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be me.
Yeah.
And I was so happy for him. You know what I'm saying? Another one of us, even though it's a movie, another one of us made it out, crossed the line. And I've always been a big champion or cheerleader for anybody who can make it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like unresolved trauma is always looking for activation.
You know, in my second book, The Value of Relationships, Volume 2, it'll be out this summer. The first chapter is called Living with the Memory. And what that means is I went through a traumatic experience and I became intrigued with memory, short-term and long-term memory. It was after I was married for 11 years and I went through a divorce 3 years ago. And after I went through that divorce, I began to become intrigued with short-term and long-term memory. So short-term memory lasts anywhere from 14 to maybe like 45 seconds. So if I was to say green, yellow, blue, 1, 2, 3, 5 table, and then ask you maybe 5 minutes from now, what did I say? What object did I describe and what colors and numbers? You probably wouldn't remember. But if we're sitting on this podcast and I'm like, man, this podcast is going well. Let me check my phone real quick. And I threw the phone against that camera and said, man, I don't really like this. You could be sitting here doing a podcast 10 years from now and a guest picked up their phone and it'll trigger that memory. And so when God began to share this with me, he was like, Jamel, you never learned how to live with the memory of what happened. And I'm going somewhere with this in relation to prisoners because my brother was locked up for 10 years. And as I'm studying this memory thing, I'm thinking, nah, maybe this ain't that deep right here. And so I said, how do I heal from the memory? He said, you have to partner your memory with healthy people, not perfect people. Because think about it, the human frailty that we have, your memory is not going anywhere, your long-term memory, unless you develop some type of disease like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or something like that. But more than likely, it's etched there. And nobody really told us, how do I live with the memory? Growing up, especially in our culture, it's like you fall off your bike, I hurt my leg, I want to go run to my mom or my parental, whoever's in charge, and say, man, I hurt my leg. Go on in the back, we playing cards. You know, we got the card game going, so you run in the back room. Something else happens, you know, you run in, hey, it's Thanksgiving, we setting the table, just chill, you go on in the back. So you keep packing that stuff away, and then you become a teenager, you become an adult, and that's what you've mastered doing, masking it and tucking it away. And the thing about life is life has triggers, like you said. So you could be doing something and it triggers that child that was 6 or 16, and there's this outburst. Why is he tripping like that? No, it's not him at 25, it's him at 6, it's him at 7. And I'm saying this because I started talking to my mom about this, and here's where it relates to the prison, that my brother was about to come home. My mom was having a chat. She kept saying, Jamel, I don't know how I'm going to look at you. She hasn't seen him since she didn't even want to go to prison and see him. This is her younger son was murdered, supposedly in a position where my brother had him in there, you know?
So she's upset.
She's hurt, she's damaged, and I could understand that. And she's like, now he's about to come home. I have to look him in the face. And so I'm sharing this memory thing with her, and she becomes crying. Here it is. Praying woman of God, fasting, worshiping, forgiving, apologizing. But God said, that's not going to heal your memory. It's not going to erase your memory. It's a good stepping stone. It's tools that you can use, but it won't erase your memory. So all these years she's mastered, and now she has to face it. And she's weeping in my arms. I'm holding her like, wow. She said, Jamel, can I partner my memory with you? I said, sure. And she began to open up how she didn't like how he was gunned down. And now she got to face her other son and see him. And so living with the memory, most people don't even notice. Nobody's teaching us. Nobody taught us. Especially in some of our environments. I mean, you can't afford, most of the dudes, especially as a man, they like, man up. So you go through your life with this ego and you hard. And you may end up in prison, but the memory's still there. It's eating you alive. This is why in some particular arenas, whether political or entertainment, you see people, they say, man, he just blew his brains out. He blew his brains out because he was trying to blow the memories out. He couldn't live with it no more. We mask the memory, whether we get, a prestigious job, white collar, blue collar, whatever the case may be, some happy family, kids, dog, but the memory's still there. And all it takes is that trigger to hit that memory right, and it's going to come up.
So what do they do to deal with the memories? Because you can't unlive them.
Yeah.
What do I do? Because I'm still rocking with mine. I can manage mine.
Right.
I'm good at managing my emotions and pain or past trauma. I'm saying, but it's not gone.
Yeah.
Clearly. So what do I, as well as listeners, do to handle past memories?
Well, my first step that I did was I had to admit to myself that I'm not okay. And that's sometimes a big step because we think we're okay. And that's the famous slogan we always use. I'm okay.
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm not stressed. I had to admit one day I was going through after the divorce and I was going through some other stuff and I was like, I'm not okay. I'm like, yo, I'm not good. And then I was like, God, I'm not cool with what happened. I don't like what happened. And so he started taking me through this process. And then he was like, you got to partner your memory with healthy people, not perfect people, healthy people. Because some people just want to hear about your pain so they can gossip about your pain. So I began to seek out people. And here's the thing. If you start to seek out and you really want this and you ask God, put some people in my, I guarantee he's going to start putting people around in your environment. And you start, here's the thing. Once again, you got to be honest with yourself that I'm not okay. I had to open up to this man and start telling him like, yo, this is what happened. And then it went from just the marriage to me going back to my child. I started going back to my child. Like, you know what? I'm not okay with what happened with me and my dad. I'm not actually okay with when the police slammed me on the hood all those times. I thought I was good at 33 years old. This is years later, from 15, 16. I thought I was okay. Nah, I'm not okay. And I begin to unravel that thing. And as I partnered the memory with this healthy person, what happened is he gave me wise counsel. And sometimes he didn't say nothing. He just let me talk.
Right.
And what happened is, here's the thing. The memory began to lose its strength. It's not, remember, we're living with the memory. So it's always going to be there. So then what happened is I can go into restaurants and I can hear a song that me and my wife used to dance to and spend our favorite time to. And the memory's triggered. It's awoken. It's awakened, I mean. And I see it, I identify it, but it's not strong enough to overwhelm me. It's there. So
it's fair to say that if somebody sit in a prison cell, they have some bad memories.
Oh,
yeah,
they definitely do. They definitely. I'm pretty
regardless
sure
what they are, they travel with a couple.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I was in the position like
minimally, they made a bad decision. They got him there.
Yeah.
If nothing else, if you had a perfect life prior to your bad decision that got you to jail, that's a bad memory you're living with.
Mm-hmm.
So steps to acknowledge you have it. Partner with somebody else who's healthy, not perfect. And then what? Is there another step after that?
And then begin to walk that thing out. Because here's the thing, you're going to be living with the memory. That's why I titled it Living with the Memory. You're going to be 50 years old. That memory's still going to be there. And like I said, unless you develop some type of disease that erases it, but it's still going to be there. Something's going to trigger it.
It's still going to be there if you do get the disease. You just can't access it.
I'm 40 years old, and there's still times where if I'm driving or something may happen, it triggers a memory from my past, and it comes up, and sometimes it's about to take, but I'm strong enough now where it can't overwhelm me. It can't draw me into isolation. It doesn't push me in a position of depression or go, man, I think I'm going to take myself out. No, because I've partnered my memory. And here's the thing, the length of time that it takes, don't put a timestamp on that because everybody's different. It may take some people months. It may take some people years. And so even as a healthy person that may be counseling or coach somebody like this, don't rush their process. And 2 years come and you're like, man, you still going through that? No, that's the wrong thing to say. Because everybody's process is different. My mom still goes through her experiences periodically, and I still got to hold her and hug her and love her and talk to her and listen to her. No. When she's strong enough, then that'll be her timing.
So for the folks who go inside, your brother, myself, including my little brother did time, when they go through and they come out. Now you're the relative. Mm-hmm. You're not them. They haven't fixed or resolved or done the process. Mm-hmm. What can we do for them?
Man, we definitely got to be there for them and love. There's a chapter in my book called Love the Hell Out of Them, where, God loved the hell out of me, so I literally love the hell out of you. I can, whatever that hell is, that hellish behavior, he'll love it until it's out of you and replace it with his love so then we can show the same type of love towards mankind. Love them. They gonna need love, a lot of love. My brother came home, he wasn't the same dude. Me and my brother grew up, but we weren't really growing up together. He was in and out of detention centers. Remember, I was escaping routes. I was escaping those type of scenarios. He was in and out of detention centers. Then he did a 5-year bid, came home, did another 2-year bid, came home, did 10 years. He comes home from 10 years. I'm looking at him. I know who he is, but I don't know who he is. And we're driving, and he's sharing these painful stories. And now I'm at this position I'm in now. So I'm able to kind of like coach him, counsel him, love on him. And sometimes it's not about me even coaching the counselor. It's just me hearing him out and loving on him and telling him I love him and listening to him and not trying to correct him and not trying to say, don't do that, don't say this. It takes a wise, healthy person to do that. And here's the thing, if I'm not I don't claim to be the be-all, the end-all. So if I don't have it, now connections with people like yourself or other wise men and women, I point them to them. Like, hey, I got somebody you should talk to. They may be more skilled at this right here with the information you sharing with me. Because my brother, it took him a while to open up about what happened with my younger brother. We never talked about that. 10 years, we didn't talk about that. So when he came home,
He's still living with it.
we had to have that conversation. And when we had it, I had to wait till he was ready. And then he opened up one day, and it was a very sobering conversation with him tearing it up. And it still tears him up to this day. And so I still we talk probably like every other day. Not about the situation, but sometimes he just calls the vent, and I got to listen.
Got you. I have a friend named Keith Cunningham. He has a saying, until the unspoken is said, you can't move forward.
I like that.
The unspoken has to be said. It won't just dissipate.
Yeah.
And you know, and they'll know, and there'll just be a block in the room. That's the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. The elephant ain't going to leave on its own. You have to tell him to get out. So we have a lot of sisters who are listening to this podcast. We've done a lot of podcasts. Even though I know it's for both, I always like to sometimes specifically, when I see a messenger that I think would have a strong message for them. So for the sisters who are locked up, are you talking about without their kids, been through domestic violence, I'm saying drug addiction, molestation, you know what I'm saying? We know at the guys' prison, we got visits around the block.
Yeah.
At the female prison, it's not even a tenth of the visitors. You know what I'm saying? Us not seeing our kids is different than mothers not seeing their kids in most instances. Now, dad's like, yo, I love my kid too. You didn't carry that kid for 9 months. You didn't breastfeed that kid ever. So it's just a different connection. So it's not that dads don't miss their kids. Moms miss them in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So we have a lot of women who are sitting here like, yo, this dude's sharing.
Yeah.
But it's about his brother. It's about this. And you kind of touched on mom, how it reflects. Message to women. They're sitting in the cell. They got their iPad in their hand, a little tablet, and they're looking at it, and they're listening to you, and they need clarity. They need a message. They need a word from somebody on high. I'm gonna get out your way. Take as much time as you want.
Man, I really believe what keeps coming to my head is that confession. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm pretty sure I don't know if they have access, but I'm sure they may have access to a piece of paper, a pen, you know, and I watched my mom go through this. Like, a confession is something you're putting a declaration over your life. And I like to start mine with I am. And I got my daughter to do one. I am a child of the Most High God. And I'm putting God involved to let them, even the women, know that no matter where you are, no matter what the position is, this is not a cliche term like some people just say, oh, God loves you. No, I literally mean it. God loves you. And I'm connecting this to the story of my mom because my mom, my sister, my aunt, my mother especially, I seen her abused by my dad. You know what I mean? Going through domestic nights, just horrific stuff. You know what I mean? And seeing her crawl out of that, I watched her because I was more attentive than my other siblings. I was more attentive, and I saw what she utilized to crawl out. I seen her doing confessions and crying in the mirror, telling herself, God, you are amazing. You're going to do this with me. You know what I mean? With tears. And I'm talking about she had fist fights with my dad, boxing with him. You know what I mean? Couldn't see me and my brother because she was on the move trying to run from my dad. Then I see my sister going through domestic. Here's the thing I want to say. If there are men listening to this, I'm going to say, you're a punk. You know what I mean? I just want to put that out there. But anyway, back to the women.
You have to say a punk for
putting your hands on a woman and abusing a woman in any shape, form, or fashion. I know there's more psychological pieces connected to that, but that's a whole nother podcast, and I'm not going to address that right now. But suffice to say, back to my mom, I seen her growing up with these issues, being beat and, you know, going through sexual activities, and my sister going through this, you know, and me and my brother having to show up for incidents. So women that are in that position, my heart really goes out to these women. But that confession is something powerful. Because even though it doesn't look like it, this stuff you write down, you stick to that confession and keep speaking it over your life because words are powerful. You paint your world with your words. And words are powerful. And if there are women in there, I don't know, I'm not sure, but if there's another woman in there that's stronger than you, once again, connect with them.
What's the difference between confession and affirmation? Is there a difference?
They're basically the same, just a different type of statement. Yeah, confession and affirmation basically.
You mean same space?
You're affirming yourself with words.
No, you use the word conviction. I'm not against it.
No, I use the word confession.
Confession.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm cool with it. I'm like, okay. In my mind, I'm using the word. I'm saying affirmation.
Yeah.
I just want to see if there was a difference between the two in your mind. But it's more for the most part the same thing.
Yeah, because I put together a confession board, and this may be something dope we can bring into the prison system, man. A confession board, and I wrote it down. I got it put up on the ceiling over my bed. When I wake up in the morning, I'm reading this confession. I am this. And every morning I wake up, I don't want to read it. Because sometimes I'm looking at it, and my life don't look like the confession I got up on the wall.
The thing that I would run into, and it's a small thing, it's a nuanced thing. Confessions in prison in criminal world just sounds bad.
Yeah, we could use affirmation for lack of better. Yeah, we could just. And now that you say it like that, I understand.
I'm like,
yeah,
hold up, I
didn't do it.
He's in there confessing. He's making confession. I'm like, it's either you're in the box with the priest,
got you,
or you're in the room with the police.
Affirmation board.
Yeah. I got this, because nobody's gonna walk away from here and be upset with you. Because when people are in pain, they look for reasons to disconnect. Man, you dropped number Jews in love since you pulled up.
Value.
Want people to be better. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a specialist at looking at the reasons why people opt out. I know what you meant. I know where it came from. Oh, y'all are punks if you beat your woman. So the dudes who beat their women decided at that point, when you said they punks for doing it, that I ain't gonna listen to them no more. Instead of taking ownership over you were being wrong. Yeah. Instead of saying, know something? What he said, man, for me to punch my girl in the face, that's a coward move. Ain't no way about that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way my dad can tell me punching my mother in the face was a strong move.
Facts.
So there's no way to reword it. But most people aren't ready to accept that that's what it is. So I need you to speak to them, to tell them how they can get past and be forgiven or rectify the move that they make. Because to tell them that they did it was wrong is the easy part.
Right, you're right.
Tell them how to rectify it. So now you can say, well, yeah, I called you that. Now this is how you get past it.
Now we going into, once again, another chapter in my book called The Power of Forgiveness. First you gotta be willing to forgive yourself. You know what I mean? And then ask God for forgiveness. Because once he forgives you, it's settled. You know? And maybe you can't reach back out to the person that you did that to and ask them forgiveness. That's a hard step that's a hard step right there. My dad had to do it and truly ask for forgiveness. And here's the thing, even if the person you ask for forgiveness and the person doesn't apologize to you, true forgiveness is never looking for an apology. The forgiveness piece in this scenario, what we're talking about, is what's needed. And even when I said the word punk, it can't be taken back. You know what I mean? I hope it triggers something.
No, we ain't trying to take it back.
No, I'm not. I hope it triggers something because I hope it triggered to us to get to this part of the conversation to talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is that key piece right there. And sometimes that's not easy to do. It takes a level of humility to really open up and say, God, please forgive me for what I did. It's not easy because there's stuff that I did and it's still to this day that I'm like, all right, Jamel, remove your pride. God, please forgive me. Like, I did not mean to say that, do that.
No, I know. I don't want you to take it back.
I'm not taking it back. I'm just saying.
I know me. The times I ripped out the most, the times I went the hardest, is when I felt I was being challenged on something I was wrong about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I'll show out.
Yeah.
I put in some work all day. But if I'm put in a situation where I'm wrong and it's about to come out that I'm wrong, I'm going to overcompensate with 10 times more violence and 10 times more aggression and 10 times more animosity.
Yeah,
that's when I get really fired up, when I'm about to be exposed for being wrong.
That's that pride.
Yeah.
Because pride don't want to be seen. Pride want to keep rising up. It takes a level of humility. And if you don't humble yourself, then it's going to lead to humiliation. So at some point, and it's not easy, at some point we're going to have to humble ourselves and say, you know what, I'm wrong. And that's a hard thing for people to do,
Super
even
hard.
if you're not in prison. Like, to admit, I'm wrong.
What I did
I don't
was
want to do this, but I'm wrong. Yeah, that was me. I jacked the whole situation up. I made the whole camp go down. I messed the whole situation up. I'm the reason I'm in this position.
I used to justify way more. Justify everything.
I had a lot of them. The system.
The man.
Now, here's the thing. There are some systemic things that's in place, but that's a whole other conversation. There are some systemic things that's in place that do put people in a position where they do become incarcerated. That's a whole nother thing.
How you got there is, like I said, I had a bad lawyer on top of making bad decisions. So my bad decision compounded with a bad lawyer got me to prison.
Yeah. Thank God, I didn't have to, be in a position that some of my friends were. I truly believe that God pulled me out only to put me back in. So that's why I'm in a position like I am today, even on this podcast. He pulled me out to put me back in, to go to these environments, to talk to, people in destitute, whether it's suburban, corporate, whatever the case may be. And here's what I want to say. I know as prisoners listen to this. Don't think you're you're worse. You're mighty. You're strong. You're powerful. You're brilliant. Because sometimes we could think, because they're in that position, like I said, there's something about you that we may look at the outside and think, oh, that person's out there doing this, they better than me. No, there's some people out here that are just well-dressed criminals.
Right. Well, well-dressed, stressed out.
Or well-dressed and stressed out. Some people in prison more peace than the people that's out.
I said this before I came home. I was like, when I got my clarity of mind, I tell people I got free June 12th, 1999. Freedom came. I went home from prison November 15th, 1999. I got free on the 12th. Because that's when I got free. They let me out in November.
Yeah.
So you can get free from where you are. Freedom is not a space. It's not a location. Mm-hmm. It's a state of being.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Incarceration is not a place. It's a state of mind. You know what I'm saying? There are people who are incarcerated physically but are free mentally. Mm-hmm. There are people who are free mentally that are so locked down it's not even funny. You know what I'm saying? And all the stuff that they do to try to hide it doesn't help. It doesn't help them. It makes us think, oh, he's doing well, until such and such committed suicide. What? And we do it and we keep going. How could he commit suicide? He was a millionaire. He had this, he had that.
Yeah.
He wasn't mentally free.
Yeah. That's like you could be delivered but still bound.
Need a scripture to close out on.
By this one is Proverbs 16:3. Commit all your plans to the Lord and they shall succeed. As simple as that sounds, that's the one that keeps me and sustains me. It says commit all your plans. Whatever that plan is, it might not even be a brilliant plan. I just commit it to God. I write it down and say, God, here's my plan about relationships. Here's my plan about my kids. Here's my plan about the business. Here's the plan about my own life. Here's the plan about my day. And you said, and I'll say it just like this, you said in Proverbs 16:3, if I commit all my plans to you, they shall succeed. Now, what does that success look like? I don't know. But I'm committing this plan to you, and I'm about to go about my day. I'm about to make this decision, and I'm presenting it to you. Boom. And I lock it out like that.
There it is. Our final act. We know our second act. We know our first act. Our final act is we're done. Earth is over for us. And when Earth is over for most of us, what they do is they take us, put us in this box, they drop us in the ground. Some people sit around a funeral home and they decide what they're going to chisel in the stone about you.
Yeah.
I don't like that concept. I'm saying my grandmother taught me something different, that I should take control of not only my life, but what they say about me after I'm gone. So I started working on my tombstone. So it's Andre Norman, 1967 to 3050, because I'm going to be here for a while.
3050.
3050. You know what I'm saying? Until Elon Musk come up with something new. Shout out to Elon Musk and Tesla. Then it's going to say at the bottom, Harvard Fellow, because I achieved that. It's going to say Honorable Son, because I did that too. What are they going to say on yours? What are you going to have them leave instructions to chisel on your stone?
It's going to say Jamel Devon Jackson from 1980 till infinity. He valued people and believed that valuable people attract people of value. Period.
Value.
That's all I'm talking about. I'm trying to add value wherever I go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor and a pleasure. I trust that you got something out of this, and you definitely got some balls. You got me spitting balls.
Had to trigger those balls back out.
Unresolved trauma. So I appreciate you coming.
No problem, man. I appreciate
you sharing.
Man. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate the value.
Thank you.
Of your presence and your wisdom.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Real talk, man. Awesome, man. I'm glad I was here, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, until we see you next time, And if you want him to come to your prison, you just need to write the warden or hit that kiosk up and say, listen, we need him up in here. We can do a show live at your prison. We can make it happen, but it starts with you taking action in a proper, nonviolent, peaceful way. Holla at your boys.
Peace.